Yes, hello, and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. I am, of course, Mr. Francy, and I'm truly honored that you've once again chosen to join me today as we look at what's been happening for me in week 3, that is the 15th through to the 21st of October 2025. Wow. There is a lot to catch up on. I think the reason for this, especially reading-wise, why there's a lot to catch up on, is because in week 3 I read a lot of shorter books, where in the first 2 weeks I was reading a lot of tomes or books that were close to that 500-page mark, and so I shouldn't be surprised that I read significantly more in week 3 given the books were shorter, but I still feel like I've read more. But anyway, so I've read 5 books in this past week. Yeah, it's like, wow. But anyway, it is what it is, and I have transitioned from not reading any cozies at all this month through to beginning my cozies for this month. So yeah, it's been really interesting. If you are new to the channel, hello and welcome. My name is Mr. Francy. We are a sparkling channel here. You'll have a pouch of glitter coming your way when it comes to you. Feel free to throw it in the air and to sparkle, because we're a sparkling channel here. Also, the sparkle does not end here at the end of the video. In the comment section below, as well as in the description, there is a link to my Discord, the Sparkle Cafe, where the party continues every single day. We do reading sprints every day. There's a plethora of hosts, including myself when I'm on, and we have a whole lot of fun over there. So we'd love to have your company if you'd like to join us over there as well. If you are returning, welcome back, my beautiful sparklers. I hope you've had an amazing 3rd week of October. I'm sure everyone's getting ready for Halloween. I'm kind of getting ready for the opposite because I feel like I celebrated my horror reading this week. And then I can be all cozy for the final week. But reading really does help me. I'm not in the best place physically speaking with my body, but I'm trying to not let that mentally destroy me. And I think reading, as any reader will tell any other reader, there are so many good reasons to read. One of them being that reading is a great form of entertainment that can also serve as a distraction to whatever it is you're going through. Now, I'm not saying that readers only read for the sake of a distraction or escapism. Not at all. We have many different reasons why we read, but certainly one of the pros is that. So with everything that I am going through, it's nice to, read about something completely different to what I'm going through, and it does serve as a really good distraction. And my dear friend Ducky actually found a show for me that I am absolutely loving. So I just wanted to pull the show off so that I'm saying it correctly. To go back to what was happening, I was watching a film. I think it was actually called The Guilty, and I really enjoyed that. And that was totally set in a call center, and then an emergency services 911 call center. And then after that, I remember there was another movie that starred Halle Berry, which I think is called The Call, which is not totally set at the call center, but mostly set at the emergency dispatch call center. And I was looking for a show that would be like that was actually real and not fictitious. And my friend Ducky came across this show called 911 Crisis Center. So 911 Crisis Center follows the action of a dynamic Chagrin Valley area emergency call center in Ohio. And I absolutely love it. I'm about, I would say, halfway through season 2. There's a lot of episodes. Each episode's about 20 minutes long, but it's literally what I wanted, which is they're at this call center. It's real. It's not, fictional, and we see these dispatch operator call center people in the emergency services taking these real calls, and they redact things that are things that shouldn't be on TV, like a person's name, for example, or their address. But aside from that, we get to hear everything with the call and see how what comes up and what's happening, all that kind of stuff. And I'm really getting into this whole you know, 911 side of things when it comes to viewing. Starting in the month of February 2025, I placed a cozy mystery embargo on myself. What I mean by this is all that I read was cozy mysteries. When I got to the end of September, I decided that I was done only reading cozies, and even prior to February of 2025, I was mixing up my genres. I feel like I'd overdone it. Forgive me if using this terminology, but I feel like I had OD'd on cozy mysteries, if that makes sense. So it was like, okay, I need to remix up my genres. So starting in October, I was reading other genres that weren't cozies, and was continuing on with that in week 3. But I tell you what, by the time I was done with all the books that I was reading that wasn't a cozy, I was ready to get back to my cozies, which you will see. So, where we last left off, I was reading this book, The School for Wicked Witches by Will Taylor. This is book number 1 in the School for Wicked Witches series, and we follow, is her name Ava? Yeah, we follow a girl by the name of Ava Hartstraw, who, the world of this book and series is set in Oz, as in the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And this girl, whose family lives in the desert area of Oz, ends up having magical abilities, so she has to go to a school to learn about her magic. And if you know me, you know that my favorite genre in any sort of a fantasy, I don't care if it's middle grade, young adult, new adult, adult, I don't care what it is. My favorite trope of all time is when in fantasy we have a character who goes to a magical school to learn about their magical abilities. That is definitely what the premise of this one is. So Ava goes to this school because she has a magical ability, and before they can even take their seats, which reminds me of Harry Potter, where McGonagall says, before you can take your seats, you must be sorted into your houses. Well, before they can take their seats at this school, they have to prove that they have magic, because otherwise why are they letting these people in if they don't have a magical ability? So, all of the students prove that they have magic, and then Ava steps up to show her magic, and unfortunately, because she had been teased and bullied on the way to the school by this other girl, she wanted to show up this other girl, and her intentions were not right when she was doing her magic, and therefore her magic came out being rather wicked. So the headmistress declares that she is wicked. Now, for a student who possesses a magical ability that is good, they can stay at the school. But for a student who shows that they have a magical ability that is wicked, they need to go to the school for wicked witches to basically drum the wickedness out of them and make them good again. So this is exactly what needs to happen with Ava. So Ava ends up going to this wicked school and finds out there is a lot more to this wicked school than she initially thought. And there are a lot of things that occur along the way, moving forward from once she arrives at the School for Wicked Witches. I think this was really good. It features found family. The magic system is incredibly soft, so don't go in for the magic system experience. Go in for the experience of the book. And being in a middle grade world of Oz, it was really, really, really fantastic. And my friend Ducky was reading this book, and I just got inspired to pick it up myself, and I'm glad I did. I do want to continue on with the series. I just don't know when I'm going to do it, because the second book in this series is not coming out in Australia in physical form until the 1st of November. So I'll probably read the second book in December. I know that it's already out on audio, but I think they're republishing the books or something at the moment, so I do have to wait. And I'm not someone who likes to pre-order books, so I'll hold off from continuing on right away, but I do want to continue on with the series. And I gave this book a total of 5 stars, and I do highly recommend it. So the next 2 books that I read were adult horrors, so I will put some warnings out there, because I do think both of these books need trigger warnings, so I will give them to you. If you think that is a spoiler, then feel free to move past the next book I'm showing you and the one after and go on to the one after that. But anyway, so the first of those 2 books I'm going to show you is this book, Playground, Child of Divorce by Aaron Beauregard. This is book number 2 in the Playground series. However, it is written as a prequel to book number 1. So I don't know if we're actually going to get a book 3 or not. The basic setup of the series as a whole, whether you're looking at the prequel or the book 1, which is obviously the original, it just feels really weird in my mind that book 2 is the prequel rather than book 2 being the sequel. But anyway, is that we follow this woman whose name is Geraldine, who, what can I say other than she's really evil? She wants to abduct kids and put them through a playground that was inspired by the film series Saw. And Aaron Beauregard won't say this because it's not written in the book, but that's what I'm going to say. If you've seen the Saw films and the traps that are involved in that situation, this woman, Geraldine, wants to do that with children, but in the form of traps that are in a playground. And yeah, so anyway, I thought the book was good. It's quite horrifying. This is one of those extreme horror books, so please do be mindful that it is rather horrific. Even before we get into any sort of traps, there is a scene between Geraldine and her servant. I don't want to say that I nearly puked, but I felt like I was turning green reading that scene. Like, is this necessary? Do we really need this? But anyway, but yeah, look, all in all, it was a good book for what Aaron Beauregard set out to do. I think he did achieve it. I gave it 4 stars, and I think that this book served well as a prequel to the original book, showing how Geraldine got everything to where it was in the original book. So yeah, I'm not going to say more than that. I gave it 4 stars. So the next book and final horror that I read for the month of October was this book, The Angel of Vengeance by Wade H. Garrett. This is book number 1 in the A Glimpse into Hell series, and I gave this book 4 stars. But this book certainly takes its inspiration from Saw. We're following an adult male whose name is Seth Coker, who has trapped someone in a cell and is telling this victim how he deems himself to be an angel of vengeance when it comes to criminals who, when they go to court and receive their sentencing does not adequately give justice to the crime that they have committed, and Seth feels like he can do a whole lot better in that situation. So the majority of the book is Seth telling this victim that he has locked up in this cell of all these different stories. It's like 10 or 15 different stories of, this is the criminal, this is how I captured them, this is what I did to them. Next chapter, this is the criminal, this is how I captured them, this is what I did to them. That sort of thing. And why they're the criminal, of course, because there needs to be a motivation. But also, as a tying theme and arc throughout the entire book, somewhere in the chapter, Seth keeps saying to this victim that he has in this cell, you think that's bad, wait till you see what I have in store for you. And the victim keeps saying, I don't even know why I'm here, why have you captured me? Well, we find out at the end why the victim was there, and it was a really good reveal. I thought this was really good. Look, I mean, yeah, I understand the argument that violent films and violent books can inspire violent acts. I get that. But at the end of the day, if you are mature enough to read content like this and enjoy it literally just for the entertainment that it is and not actually act upon it, then I think books like these, they are psychologically brilliant. And I definitely appreciate this one. Seth's idea that someone, for example, murdering someone else, only getting 5 years in jail is nowhere near enough justice, I find it to be interesting. Like, what... So the question obviously becomes, with that example, you know, we have this murderer who goes who, you know, is captured, goes to court, all this, and the sentence is that they get 5 years jail, and Seth says, well, hang on, that's nowhere near enough. You killed someone, and you're going to jail for 5 years, that's not enough. So psychologically, in my mind, I'm going, okay, Seth, you don't like that, so what are you going to do? How are you going to justify this? And it was just really interesting seeing how Seth's mind worked that is behind the Saw movies, and the same psychology was definitely present in this one. And so yeah, really, really enjoyed this book. As I said, I have ordered book number 2. It is on the way, and I'll definitely be reading it in the month of November. I gave this book 4 stars. However, admittedly, when I was done with The Angel of Vengeance, I was ready to get back to cozies, because that was, you know, I just read 2 adult extreme horrors, and it was like, yeah, I need like a nice little kitten playing a little fluffy game. Like, I need something cute right now. And so it was the perfect time to pick up Mrs. Morris and the Mermaid. I had picked this book up earlier on in the month and I DNF'd it after a chapter because I wasn't in the mood for a cozy, but by this time I was, and let me tell you, I'm glad I shelved this book when I did, because I ended up giving this book on this read 5 stars. It was really, really good. So this is book number, I don't even remember, 8. Book number 8 in the Salem B&B Cozy Mystery series by Tracy Wilton, and as I said, I gave the book 5 stars. So in this book, we have Charlene Morris, aka Mrs. Morris, who runs a B&B in Salem in Massachusetts alongside her resident ghost, Jack. She's the only one that can see Jack. Her cat, Silver, there he is, and Minnie, her cook, and Ava, which is Mrs. Morris's unofficially adopted daughter who's gone away to college in the majority of this book, but anyway, she's there sometimes. So the purpose of the series, when you're not looking at the mystery, is that Charlene runs this B&B, and so we have a revolving door of cast of characters that come in and out in every single book. Anyway, so in this particular one, there are 2 mermaid movies that have come out. One is the original, which has the lead mermaid actress in that film, and then we have the reboot that has a completely different actress as the lead mermaid in that film. Both of these actresses are invited to come down to Salem, Massachusetts, because they're going to have a mermaid parade to honor both films. Now, the fans are very much divided, like with certain films, how they have the original and the reboots. Like, I prefer this one, I prefer this one. And sometimes fan stands can go way over the top. As the parade is about to begin, the actress from the original film is meant to be on the first float in the parade. She's not there. So the organizer asks Charlene, aka Mrs. Morris, to check up on her and find out what is keeping her up from and delaying her from being at the parade. Charlene goes to her hotel room to find her dead on her bed. I really enjoyed this. I thought that the plot itself was interesting. The mystery was really intriguing. I worked out who the killer was, and I've probably done that 6 times in my whole life of reading cozies, so I was really proud of myself for working it out, and I just thought it was really fantastic. I highly recommend this series. I have 2 books left to go to be up to date. I do plan to continue doing that. I don't think I'm going to finish every single series on my SAS list this year, but this is one that I do think I'll finish out because I only have 2 left and there's still 2 months left in the year. But 5 stars from me. I highly recommend this series and highly recommend this book. I thought it was really, really good. 5 stars. And so the most recent book that I finished was this book, A Knight's Tale by Sophie Kelly. This is book number 11 in the Magical Cats Cozy Mystery series, and I also gave this book 5 stars, but there's a reason for it, because with the majority of the book, I was going to give it 4 stars. And then the ending happened, and it was so good. Okay, so in this series, we follow Kathleen Paulson, who is a librarian in Maryville Heights in Minnesota. Kathleen lives with 2 cats, Owen and Hercules. Hercules, and they have magical abilities. I won't say what they are because that would be a spoiler. And in this particular book, Kathleen's brother Ethan has come to town with his band. They are at this bar pub thing, and there is a guy who is sitting there with a service dog. Another guy comes in, and I'm just going to say he wasn't friendly to the service dog. Everyone moves on, and a couple of days later, this guy who had attacked the service animal is found dead. And the mystery was really, really intriguing. There was so much to uncover, especially in the second half of the book. There were a lot of things that came to light that was really intriguing. The reveal was really good. I would say that it was anticlimactic, but I didn't mind that because it certainly fit with the cozy vibe. It was one of those situations of the main character knows who the killer is. They confront the killer admits they did it, and they get taken away. And there was no violence or anything, which I appreciate, because there are so many cozies out there where the final climax has to be so violent and massive and whatever, and it wasn't in this case. It was just, yep, this one was the killer. Okay, great. Take them away at the end. Post the reveal, a secret came to light that we have been dealing with for this entire series that was so good that I had to bump it up. So I end up giving this book 5 stars, and I will be reading book number 12, A Case of Cat and Mouse, not as my next book, but as the one after. 5 stars for this one. So the plan moving forward is I'm going to start this book today, The Silence of the Flanks by Laura Bradford. This is a trilogy buddy read that myself at the Sparkle Cafe and my Discorders, as well as my friend Jessica's Discorders over on the Lovestead, coming together to do a merger. The Sparklestead are doing together, and this is book number 2 of the Emergency Dessert Squad Cozy Mystery Series. I'm looking forward to this one. I then will read book 12, A Case of Cat and Mouse in that Magical Cat series. And I'll then read Firecrackered by Patricia Rockwell, which is a book in the S.E. Cobb Senior Sleuth Cozy Mystery series. When this one is done, I'll be completely up to date and done with my October TBR, and then I'll be starting my November one. Alrighty. And now for everyone's favourite game that we like to call Up. These are all the books that I read in the 3rd week of October 2025. I'm going to let you go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind. Please do love one another. And spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone.